Hi guys, welcome back to a new episode. My name's Kosh. I'll be going through the previous stocks that I recommended. We will be seeing how they're coming along. If you want to see how I got to the conclusion of buying, just have a look back at my previous videos and you can see how we got there. Okay, let's crack on. Remember that some of these stocks will take longer than others. I usually say that they can take anywhere between a month or two to really get going, but some of the stronger stocks will, really go fast. But don't forget that the imbalance of supply and demand needs to be there, and stocks that have high floats will take typically longer than ones that have low floats, just because the float size of shares is so much that it needs a lot of quantity for it to move. And Microsoft is just one of those. Um, Microsoft has 7.5 billion shares, so you need a lot of volume for that share or for the price to move up percentages, whereas a stock that has maybe 1 million or 50 million shares rather than 7.5 billion will reach 10, 15, 20% quicker than what a 7.5 billion share float will do. So just bearing that in mind, you will see Microsoft, they won't have crazy 20% days like you will see like some other stocks. These will have typically 1%, 2% a day, but slow burners. You'll see like from here to here it will be 1%, but lots of them 1%, 2%, 3%, 4%, 5%. What they won't do is move 15% down and 15% up, and that sort of volatility, because there's so many shares that it takes takes some sort of time for it to move. So bearing that in mind, Microsoft is doing just as we expected. So we drew the lines from the lower lows, and we drew the lines from the drop off here, or the pullback, mini pullback on not as much volume. And we saw that the apex point was here. So here we would have predicted that some sort of price action to the upside would occur, and which this green, this green candlestick showed us. I'll just take off the 20 EMA. I'll just take off all the EMAs because they're not necessary right now. So after that, after this confirmation bar, you would have taken the trade, or could have taken the trade if you wanted to. It's just information purposes only, but you would have had a 3% sort of cushion there. Next day, again they were moving up slowly until this day here, which was the earnings day. Earnings day, as we predicted, was going to be better than average. Obviously the sort of estimated was 1.64, but generally we could reasonably guess that it would have been a much bigger one, and 2.0 is phenomenal, and Microsoft is a sort of phenomenal company. I remember on earnings day having a look at this. I didn't want to be too bullish, but I really predicted this would happen, and I think it went up at least a whole percent within that 5 minutes of the earning. Here we go, whole 6% or 7% that it went up, and 7% is quite significant, just because stocks like Microsoft, they don't go up 7, 15, 7, 10, 20%. It is quite unlike Microsoft to do that. So yeah, it did go up quite a bit, and we're quite happy with that. And now it'll have once it's broken its all-time high, which is a huge deal for a stock like Microsoft. It'll have a period of consolidation. I do like that it's broken its high. It came back to test. It broke it again. Came back to test. It broke it again. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back to test again. Relatively speaking, the market has been very volatile for the last week, and it still stood its ground. Microsoft, pulled back on a number of occasions when the market pulled back, but it's still performing high, and when the market kicks on again, I can expect a good sort of 20-30% rise over a period of a couple of months. So that's Microsoft. We'll move on to Twitter. Twitter was a controversial one, according to the comments, but it's not to say Twitter will still, won't die or will die, but we just know that there was room to maneuver here. We knew that this was the apex point, and we wanted to see a confirmation bar. I like this stick here. The next day was good, and we just expected it to kick off. Again, the market's been very choppy and very volatile, but the relative strength compared to the market has been great, and we're up sort of 14%, is it? Expected a bit of resistance up here from the day back in October. If I put this right here, there was some resistance being expected here. So what do I expect from the stock now? Hopefully it consolidates a little bit, breaks back out of that, and then hits this sort of high here, and then consolidates a little bit more, and hopefully it comes back. What can happen? Of course, we don't know what's going to happen. The market's going to have, what the market condition is going to be like, but it can come back and test, and hopefully push on that after that. But I hope we've managed to get a bit of a cushion. There are a few stocks that I'm looking at, which I'll be releasing in the next couple of videos. The market is a little bit choppy at the moment, so I'm just watching from afar, trying not to be exposed to this volatility. Everyone's probably been hearing about the game and the sort of Reddit gang and the volatility that's been happening because of that. So I don't really want to be involved in a market that's volatile like this, but I have been seeing a lot of good setups. I've been looking for some relative strength stocks, stuff like LPRO, which has been on my radar for a long time, and I didn't take the trade just because of how the market's been the last few days, but you can see a nice little trend that's been happening from IPO day in June. It's a good one to study because you can see that it's been supported by this trend line here. It bounces. You can put another trend line up here if you really wanted to. In fact, I'll do that. There we go. So you've got one, and then bounce, 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 and then it came down to here. And this was such a great day because you could see the confirmation here. I needed so much discipline to not take this trade. If I take it down to the 4-hourly chart, you'll understand when I saw, especially it was this candlestick with high volume at that time. I knew this was a confirmation, so I could have bought him there. I decided not to in the end, just because the SPY has been taking a beating recently, and I do expect a bit of a pullback soon, and that would have been the entry around 33. Here we go, on the dailies was 33. Yeah, it would have been around here. It would have been a good cushion of 33. It would have been a good 14% cushion there. But again, guys, be careful of the SPY. We can see that it's pulling back a little bit. It had a really bad day on Friday. It recovered today on a Monday. I do expect some choppiness over the last few days. I know there's been a lot of volume and sort of buyouts over the last few days, so just be careful of that. Really big red volume on the SPY is really a big cause for concern. So I'm looking from afar, and hopefully the market shows a bit of recovery soon, and yeah, I'll be showing you a few stocks over the next few days. Thank you very much.